Welcome to today's product review and conversation that I'll be having today with my guest. I'm Suzanne Roth-Paul. I'm a certified primal health coach, and I look forward to this discussion with my guest about this 20-year company called Lifewave that is revolutionary as a revolutionary technology company. And it's changing how we look at regenerative health and wellness and cellular health. And so we are going to be touching on the importance of our cell health and why detoxification and keeping our cells healthy and clean is so vital. But it's so vital to how we're using our Lifewave products so that they're more effective and, obviously more beneficial moving on and using, things that are obviously giving us our optimal wellness. So today we're going to be in conversation about everything detoxification and cell health, as I mentioned. And I'm going to be just touching here quickly on my Poisons in the Pantry ebooks. If you are familiar with me, I do talk a lot about them, but I do want to emphasize the reason why my free guide and my deeper dive ebook is so important is because we are talking about toxic ingredients, toxic environmental issues, things that are really wreaking havoc on our bodies today, causing so many symptoms. And so this is really important to know why ingredient reading, paying attention to what you're eating, paying attention to what you have in your kitchen and your pantries are so important and vital to aging well, and also just having, less symptoms. And so if you are somebody who has sleep issues, pain situation, you obviously are having difficulty with keeping the weight off. This is a conversation that you really want to pay attention to, and why I want you to get these ebooks and read them is because the toxins in your environment and your food are really what's harboring so much damage to our cells. And the cells are, obviously we have millions of cells in our body, and they're in our everything from our organs to our from our skin, our organs, and then obviously our brain. And it's so important to know that when you are having issues, that this is primarily from toxic burden loads, but if it doesn't store in your organs, some of these toxins, it stores in your fat cells. And so this is what is harboring so much of our weight issues today, is that if you're unfortunate and you have weight issues, it'll store in these fat cells around your belly, around your arms, your legs, your hips, all of the special areas that we all know we wish we didn't have this extra weight, including our neck, all kinds of areas that really are just toxins in those cells. And that's what's causing all these issues. And when you can get your cell healthier, then you're going to be a lot healthier and you're going to see a lot of these symptoms dissipate. So my special guest, Lisa Brandon, is also a brand partner and with Lifewave, and she became a quick friend. It was 2021 when I was at the first Lifewave conference in Florida. And so as a result of that, she and I started collaborating a little bit, getting to know each other better. And she came on a couple of podcasts of mine shortly after that, probably in 2022. And she overheard me talking about cell health and how important it is to detoxify in order for our bodies to heal better and heal quicker and alleviate a lot of symptoms. So she's going to be telling her story about how she started learning more about cell health, how she got into the wellness industry, and really what she's finding to be very effective nowadays with taking good care of our cells. And so we'll be bringing her on in just a second. I wanted to also mention that we're going to be doing some more local collaboration. And I highly recommend that if you are new to Lifewave and or really wanting to find some support around getting help on sharing the products, that find somebody, either another brand partner and or one of your teammates that perhaps is even local, or you can do podcasts and you can do sharing on things like what I do here, that you have somebody to do this with, because it certainly makes it a lot more fun. And Lisa and I have started doing that, and we're really enjoying a lot of the collaboration that we're experiencing. And the last thing I just wanted to mention was our senior presidential director, elite senior presidential director, Rick DeLuca, says teamwork makes the dream work. So obviously it's a lot more fun when you are sharing a product that you're both all passionate about, and it makes it more enjoyable for the folks that you're talking to about the patches and how they're working for themselves and for each of you. And lastly, on these, I just wanted to mention too that I have a podcast. If you're watching the recording here, you know that, please go back and watch last because we're going to touch a little bit on our new Celergize supplement. We're not a lot, but I wanted you to know I have a whole product review I did on Celergize a couple of weeks ago, and then last week was all about the new H2O water system that David Schmidt will be introducing very soon. That's just another opportunity to share the products besides just the patches. And you're going to find that people really are interested in supplements and they're going to be really interested in the water system. So it's a way to collaborate with your team again. Like I said, Lisa and I are very excited about both and using them to collaborate together. All right, Lisa, why don't you go ahead and unmute yourself and come on up and say hello. You made it. Finally, we get an opportunity to have a conversation. I know you and I have been talking about this for a long time. So,
A
so nice
very
to have
long
you.
time. Thank you. And I'm grateful to be here. I'm glad you got me out of my shell. So I'm on here speaking and talking about common interests that we both share and have. So thank you. And I'm grateful to be here again. Yes.
Thank you. I do appreciate it. And we do talk a lot, so we definitely have a lot to share, but we're going to be punctual today. We're going to keep this under a half an hour and or close to that. So Lisa, why don't you tell us a little bit because I know people, a lot of our community knows you, but maybe haven't heard for a while about how you got started in wellness because you've got gorgeous skin. You take good care of yourself. You look fantastic. You know, you're 50 something, so we're like on the other side of that mountain. But instead of going downhill, we're continuing to climb. So, what are some of your secrets, and what have you learned in the experiences that you've had as a wellness expert yourself?
Well, thank you for that. I have been searching since my mom introduced me to herbs and tinctures and whatnot back in the late 70s. So it really piqued my interest on being the best that I could be without going to the doctor every time I had a cold or a flu or whatnot. So that started it. But as I aged in my 20s, 30s, 40s, and now into my 50s, it got more intense on the search to find, that one pill. But what I found is there isn't just one pill. There's a cornucopia of things that you have to do, as Suzanne has mentioned, which I'm loving our relationship because as David would say, you can't just take one pill or patch. You have to proper hydrate, exercise, move, and where Suzanne comes in is proper nutrition. So my background is, holistic health practitioner, licensed esthetician for 12 years now, trying to treat not only myself but my clients and get them the best supplements, health products, and treatment out there.
Yeah, congratulations on all of that knowledge in the background. Because obviously, one of the things I learned about you or admired about you, Lisa, was how youthful you looked when I first met you and your beautiful complexion, which is, it really shows that you're glowing from the outside, but it starts on the inside. And that's really important that when you found LifeWave and you found, the opportunity there to also age reverse and then obviously help support ourselves, it was like
Mhm.
a perfect blend because weren't you dabbling a little bit in stem cell research? Didn't you say you were looking into it yourself and the cost was prohibitive?
Yes, that was one of the rabbit holes that I jumped into was there was all this rage on stem cells and people were getting them and injecting them into their elbows and all over their body. And the more I looked into it, it was very costly and it didn't last that long. And there were some side effects. And one of my doctors mentioned one of his patients came in with this ungodly, ugly leprosy looking disease or whatnot on her skin. And so he said, absolutely not. He was a natural, holistic. I won't bring him in and I won't give him to you because I thought if I'm going to have it, he's going to do it. No, no. So that put the kibosh on my search in the rabbit hole of stem cell therapy. So then somebody approached me with the patches. I think it was 2019. And I was like, okay, this looks interesting. You don't have to inject. It's not, $8,000 and only lasts for 6 months. But I didn't really look at it too much, just kind of interest, in it. And then COVID hit. And so when COVID hit, I had a little more time like all of us. So I ended up looking at the email, watching the videos, and I go, this is really cool technology. I like it. I'm interested. Then I went deeper, as I typically do in my rabbit holes, and I looked at David. I looked at, what he stands for, what he does, how he looks. and everything lined up perfectly. He looks young. His skin was amazing. We're both about the same age. His posture, his muscles in real life, he's like a 20-year-old. So I go, this stuff works. So that's when I decided to become involved and, get more serious about it and take it and use the product. And so that's where my connection with Lifewave started.
Yeah, and I think that's when, we met. I think I'm about a year behind you on starting with LifeWave. So we were kind of about at the same level when we both were talking about the
Mhm.
health aspects of what we're using with our community and our clients. So the other thing that I found interesting was when you came on the podcast, you overheard me talking on the podcast. What did you do? You were having some issues. Tell us a little bit about what you were feeling with your brain, which we all tend to do in our midlife, things creep up on us. You thought you were doing the right things, eating well, doing everything well, and taking good care of yourself, but there was a missing link. Tell a little bit about that, where you just started, your brain was feeling a little foggy, which most of us do feel at this in the midlife.
Right. So not only was the concern for the physical skin, hair, and nails, weight, all those things, as you age, yeah, your brain does tend to get foggy. And that's part of the aging process. In my schooling, my college, it was, I learned the first thing to age was the brain. So I had one of my chiropractors introduced to me, the importance of clean, healthy cells. And when you are, in the process of aging, they tend to get, filled with crud and, mercury, lead, plastics, PFAS, all that stuff. We're seeing, our immune system, I was reading here, our immune system is affected by the bioaccumulation of toxins. And that was something I noticed too that I heard in one of David's podcasts. David Smith, he had mentioned that um, if certain things weren't working correctly, your supplements or whatnot, that it could be you're not hydrated enough or you're toxic. So it all kind of came together that, it's a cornucopia of things we have to do to stay healthy. And so down the road, I know we're going to address, which I'm loving, collaborating with Suzanne. We're going to dive deeper into all the things we can do. It's not just a one, Band-Aid fixes it all or one pill fixes it all. So yeah, definitely the importance of a healthy, functioning, clean cell.
Yeah, and I think that's where the Poisons in the Pantry ebook comes in. As you read that and you were like, wow, Suzanne, I'm not really reading ingredients the way I should be. And noticing that a lot of those ingredients are what is plugging up our system. And you
Correct.
talked about the brain. I just want to mention that brain health is being affected now. Okay, the number one chronic disease that is in disorder, I don't even want to call them diseases, it's disorders because it
Mhm.
really is a result of eating toxic foods and environmental things getting into our bodies, the water we drink, the air we breathe, your relationships, all these things are causing so much havoc in our bodies. But our brains have a blood-brain barrier. And in theory, nothing is supposed to go into the brain because think about it. Without your brain capacity and without having the ability to function properly and think and make decisions, you're useless. And so what's happening right now is cardiovascular disease is the number one killer of all of the diseases that are out there right now. So circulation is being clogged up by these industrial seed oils. That's my number one poison to get out of your pantry. And also the fact that a lot of these toxins are getting into our bodies, the mercury, the lead, like Lisa was talking about, the gasoline, the fumes that when you're driving, the EMFs that we're on our phones, things are getting into our blood brain barrier right now, and that's what's causing the brain fog. It isn't old age, you guys, it's old toxins. And so that's that inflammation again that I mentioned earlier. And so what Lisa was talking about, yes, it's old age, we get to a certain point, we start having issues. Well, why is that? Well, because we've had decades of pollutants in our bodies. And so that's why I wrote the ebook, so that people could start with the food they eat. There's not a lot you can do to control. You got to drive your car, you got to use your phone, you got to go use your computer, things like that that we don't have control over as much. And so that's why it's so important. So Lisa was experiencing these things and she's like, wow, I hadn't really even thought about detoxing. And you weren't really using probably the patches even effectively for detoxing because a lot of us just wear the X39 and we have a lot of things going on. It has a lot of things it has to do. The X39, if you think about it. So there's other ways to detox our brain. And I talk a lot about brain balancing. And this is one of the things that helps me a lot. So when I start feeling off kilter, Lisa, I just start putting those patches on my head because they really help the pituitary and the pineal gland at the top of your skull, above each ear. There's a lot of things. You put them on your brain, you're going to get results. So, okay, so you basically started noticing that. Then you started doing some level of detox yourself, and then you noticed some immediate. You started feeling a lot more clear. You noticed maybe you were getting some of the food cleaned up on your diet, paying attention to those ingredients combination.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Thanks to you on the diet aspect. Just if you go to the bowling alley and you get those yummy fries that smell delicious, and you're thinking, okay, it's not that bad. No, it is pretty bad.
Yeah.
So they accumulate in your system, the seed oils. So, but yes, using really fine tuning the toxic burden. And we all dye our hair, not, well, maybe not the gentlemen, but some of us ladies, we dye our hair. We have dyed our hair. We wear makeup. We breathe the air. So we need, definitely a deep dive, physical cleaner, if you will. We've got to clean something that will grab things in. We need it eliminated so that everything we take works so much better. And that's why I'm really excited about the water machine, because that has just piqued my. I've been waiting for like, a couple years. And I see Nikki's on. Maybe she would like to talk about it. I'm curious. I'm really, I'm excited about it.
Well, a
So,
lot of people aren't saying a whole lot until the
oh,
product
okay.
release time is. And I'm not. I like to tease people and get people excited because, in truth, Lisa, and you and I both have talked about this, that if you talk to folks and they're maybe not as intrigued by using the patches, just face it, there are people that don't think they work. It's too woo-woo or it's too hard to believe that a patch is going to do what it says it's going to do until you start trying it. But they'll come around eventually. But they are very intrigued by a supplement line because they're always asking me, and you probably get the same thing. What vitamins do I take? What products are clean out there? Because you and I become, we walk the talk. They come up and ask us, "What are you doing? How are you looking youthful in your 50s and 60s?" Because I'm in my six. I turned 62 yesterday, and so it's kind of like people are intrigued. And so, what I was mentioning about the supplement line and the water combination, I think we're going to get a lot more interest, don't you, Lisa? Because I already have people that maybe have their own supplement line, or they already have their products that they think is sell health. They're not really interested in the patches, but when I mention the water, light infused water that's going to travel at the speed of light and get to those areas for healing, their ears perk up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's not a water system. I've mentioned this several times. It's not a water system like a alkaline water purification system. It's going to be cleaning your current water, but it's going to be doing so much more. And that's why go back and watch the video I did last week on the product review about it. I touched on the surface. As the months progress, we'll be talking more about it. But yeah, I found that about you. I know, Lisa, you said too that people really are interested. They'll let me know when it comes out. We're ready to hear more about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that and that point with the cell health, what's so great about that is that the patches are doing already an amazing amount of work on our bodies for cellular regeneration. They're activating the GHKCU copper peptide. We know we've got all these peptides that are supportive and collagens and things, collagen that is helping us with all of the patches. But David's, his Cellergize product is going to be even more impactor because he's a powder. I do mention this before, Lisa. I try to take as many powder supplements as I can because it gets into the bloodstream much faster and it's more reactive. And he just says, can you imagine when you put in this light infused water, what it's going to do for the powder power? And what it's already doing for people, then like, in short as 90 seconds, people are having amazing results. So, anything else you want to add about what you learned about cell health? Because I know you've been doing a lot of research. How about detox? What have you learned a little bit about, the toxic burden loads? What's it doing to our cells? Because I know you talk about that a lot now too, because you become quite savvy and knowledgeable.
It's definitely related and linked to your health and wellness. The more research that I've done, it's directly connected with what level is of crud, if you will, whatever you want to call it, which would be heavy metals, PFAS. It is seriously heavy, related to your health.
And the amount of
So, yes, no matter what you're doing, if you are flooded with these things, it just,
It's like a fire, fuel, adding fuel to the fire. I did want
yeah,
to mention, did you know, I've been told that we have a credit card full of plastic in our body. And I just learned from another expert that it's actually every week a credit card size of plastic in our bodies of
I
injecting.
believe it.
And it's pretty pathetic. Well, and go in your kitchen, you guys, and look at how much is wrapped in plastic. Now, all of my supplements, I try to buy supplements if I am buying them in glass bottles, just because it's easier to me. It's I can reuse those glass bottles a lot of
Right,
times.
right.
But then you've got all the food that is vacuum packed in all that go to Costco. I mean, I get my husband and I, when we're entertaining, we've got a lot of people,
Mhm.
okay, we'll buy those things in the big plastic containers and it drives me crazy. I try not to do that. And we do it on occasion, but I would rather go to the grocery store and get my fresh meat. I'd rather go to the grocery store and get my fresh produce. I don't want them vacuum packed because that plastic is touching everything. And then
Right.
you've got the meats in there, the cheeses. I come home and decant everything. Do you do anything like that? I mean, how fastidious are you about plastic in your house?
I have transferred over to glass containers. So I used to use baggies, or plastic. I don't know so much about Tupperware. I think it's a hard, more PET, but it's you have to have certain types of plastic that doesn't, gas off, they call it.
Off
But
gas, yeah.
but what was it? The years ago we used to use those pans,
Oh, the
Teflon.
Teflon. Yeah,
Yeah, for
no,
years
bad,
and
bad,
years
bad.
we were raised on those pans.
Yeah.
And they're saying that that is forever. It clogs up your
Forever, yeah,
pancreas, your
forever.
kidneys, your liver, and then you wonder why you can't lose weight. It disrupts your hormones. And you could do all that you want, take as many pills, but if you've got those plastics in your organ isn't going to function correctly. And the older you get, it gets worse. I have found that out. So that was another thing. I need, you almost want a physical cleaner. How do I physically
Scrub.
grab this, pull it out
Yeah.
so that, people who take it the next step, deep dive, they are overcoming maybe their weight issues or their hormone balancing.
Oh
Um,
yeah, you get the toxins out, you get the
get the
weight, you
toxins
get the
out.
toxins out, you get the brain back. Well, I was mentioning a little bit earlier about these forever plastics and these metals that we talk about a lot. Heavy, all the metals that we get in from mercury amalgams in our mouth to
Right.
aluminum in the cans that we eat out of, and then flying. I talk about that a lot on my podcast about how aluminum is in the air from all the airplanes. We have so much volume of pollution in our air just from all of the planes flying over and the travel that we do. We even get affected by it. But that's what's causing that those chemicals are passing the blood-brain barrier and getting into our brain. So I started saying our number one killer for diseases today is chronic heart failure and heart issues.
Hmm.
Second one is Alzheimer's and dementia. We are going to be seeing, if this doesn't scare the heck out of you, I don't know what will, of stopping you from drinking sodas and cans and bottles because not only are the inside what's inside of it harming us so badly and causing number one cause of Alzheimer's is soda drinking, one of the top and sugar. It is that it is cross all of these things are crossing the blood-brain barrier and causing all of these chronic mental health issues. And then, I mean, it's a mental health issue when you can't think for yourself anymore. So start realizing that we are not going to have the health care that's going to be there for us to take care of the amount of people that are going to be unwell with mental health and brain and dementia. Where you can't function. You really can't function. You have to have full-time care. So really pay attention to those things. And when somebody's saying, oh, we're being a little over hyper vigilant or we're being crazy or we're like, we're scaremongers. It's like, no, pay attention to how you're doing and how you're feeling and those around you and be mindful about and vote with your dollar. pay be mindful about what you're buying because there's lots of alternatives out there now, Lisa. Remember even ten years ago, we've got better solutions. And yeah, with the forever chemicals, that's what it's called, with all of the containers we're
Yes.
using and
Mhm.
storing things in. Yeah, I decant things a lot into glass when I get it home. I use mason jars so that I've got everything easy and tidy and clean. So it really is a matter of being more mindful because for David's beautiful wisdom and creativity of these products for us, they're only going to be as effective as we are well enough to absorb them. And that goes into
Correct.
Lisa immune. Do you do like a lot of things for your lymphatic system? Because that's the other thing. A lot of people's lymphatic system is not operating optimally to excrete the toxins. What do you do?
Well, that's a good question. And yes, as an esthetician, you definitely want to hit your points and, move lymph
Neck
fluid
area.
out,
Yeah.
right? That's another thing. And I actually have a chart here, the lymphatic system, so I can learn,
Yeah.
even more. But it's not just your face here. We're talking, you want
It's
your
under
whole
your
body,
arms. It's your
under your
underarms
arms, down straight, and where
down.
your legs come into your
Crease.
body. There's points there.
Yeah.
Those are really big points. And then behind your knees, so you can rub those areas to really get the flow going. But yeah, it helps as well. A
Oh, it's
manual,
it's part of the whole drainage. It is part of the excretion that we need to be.
especially for women with breast, I heard someone mention, very respected, is a cleaner body fixes itself. And that is true. The cleaner you can get it,
Yeah.
it does fix itself. However you get there, whatever you use,
Mhm.
look at your research, do your research, and find out how do I clean my body up, make it where my cells are clean, they're functioning at optimal. It really is a true thing. And you see, people that do that, they're well. So, or
Well, and
they've
the
been
other thing,
around.
and the reason I mentioned about the lymphatic system is
Mhm.
because if it's not operating, then that's your number one for
It's
sweating.
caught. Yeah,
Sweating
yeah,
is a form of your lymphatic system doing what it's supposed to. And when
right,
people are using toxic deodorants and they're putting them under our arm and preventing sweating,
right,
guess
right,
what
right,
you're doing? So first of all,
right.
you're using aluminum and you're using a lot of these forever chemicals under your armpits, which is where you're supposed to be excreting chemicals. So you're putting chemicals in, so no wonder they can't excrete. And then you're plugging that up, which is so they're saying a lot of women with breast cancer today isn't really estrogen mimicking products, which is also another problem. It's because of deodorants and they're using chemicals at their excretion area.
And lotions too. Lotions.
Lotions, potions, makeup, topicals. I cannot believe how many
Yeah,
times I go into
yeah.
people's houses. They've got Vaseline. Vaseline's a petroleum product. Do not use
So,
Vaseline.
yeah, yeah.
There
We
is
used to use it, remember, back in the day.
My mother, we used to use it for makeup remover. Can you imagine what that was doing to our eyes? So there is
No.
something called calendula creams and calendula ointment. And calendula is a natural herb that you can
Hmm.
find. I just pulled it out. I had something on my forehead. I had a facial yesterday. She wanted me to go put on Neosporin, which is an antibacterial, healing thing. Well, no, I said, I don't put that stuff on my body anymore. I use calendula creams and calendula ointment because it's rapid healing. You and I, Lisa, use colloidal silver or silver gel. We have a couple of really good products for topical gels, and we put that on. And so I have to remind people that pay attention to those ingredients, read them, know where they're made. Anything made in a petroleum factory and is petroleum based is toxic. That
Hmm.
you can go lube your car oil, go lube your doors with the Vaseline. Don't lube
Right,
your body with it. And
right.
so that's one thing about breast cancer. They've seen some relation to that with women under their armpits. But I had a speaker, I was interviewing folks just recently, and I have a woman who's a specialist with essential oils, and she talked about our chest and our clavicle area is one of the biggest areas for our vagus nerve, which is the nerve that runs through the body that helps our nervous system.
Yeah,
It
right.
also is part of the excretion pathway. So you guys, what I've been doing, if you look at my product review last week, I had two energy patches on my chest area. She says, absolutely, you'll want to wear, it's like putting acupuncture points there to help
Yeah.
move out stagnant energy and stagnant plugged up for your lymphatic system. She said this is,
Yeah.
and even massage. And the other thing, I have loofah scrubs, you guys. So I have this one that's long I got in Mexico, and it's good natural loofah. And when I'm showering, I just go around my neck. I go down around my back and get my underarms. I rub across my front. It's yummy. I just walk it all the way down my body in the shower, and I do all the way down my booty, and I'm like rub, rub, scratch, scratch, because I love to be scratched. I was a cat in another life. I'm like, just tickle me. So then I go down behind my behind the kneecaps, which is really interesting how the lymphatic is down there, and it's really stimulating that as you're taking a shower. So I highly recommend that. You don't have to have these long strap things I'm talking about. You can just use a loofah scrub, and that's really good for that. And then we also talked about what do people use for deodorant that's natural. What do you do? Do you use anything that is, do you have anything that's not a proper deodorant, or are you using some of the cleaner deodorants?
I absolutely got off aluminum-based deodorants years ago, and I got all my amalgams taken out back in the 90s. I
Yeah.
used to be friends with he passed away, but his age. But he was talking about, the amalgams and all
Oh
the
yeah, the
mercury in
mercury. I've got work still to do, and I took mine out too. It did help
the
tremendously.
90s,
Yeah,
big
definitely.
time. But
Yeah.
then you got the fumes that's could be, in the brain. But yeah, the aluminum, I got rid of that back in the 90s, maybe. I just use you can get them at the health food store. It's coconut based.
Uh-huh. Hmm.
It's probably a hard, you can get 'em Amazon. Anything that is non-aluminum will work just fine.
Well, and other chemicals
Charcoal.
in the deodorants. There's so many products out there, but people have problems with stink
Oh,
because
yeah.
you have to have an anti-deodorant perspiring product, and that's full of chemicals. So
Yep.
again, this essential oil gal who was very interesting. How I told her what can we do for under our arms to using her safe organic essential oils. And there's a couple that what I'm doing now is I'm just putting the essential. They smell delicious. They're roll on. If anybody wants to know more about that, you can always reach out to me. But they're roll on types of oils, and you just put them on like a roll on underarm deodorant. And rather,
Mm,
you have to put them on more often, and because you do kind of perspire, and you don't, it's not always, don't always smell right, just depending on how sweaty it is and the temperature. But you have to
right.
apply it more. So I walk around with them. I carry them in my purse. I put them on all of there's essential oils for your lymphatic system. This woman
Right.
that I'm working with is phenomenal. And anyway, I'll put in the show notes some information about her. Jody Cohen is her name, and she's was on my summit recently with being interviewed for my summit, and just a wealth of information using safe products for anything from headaches, peppermint oil, but anything that smells really good in these essential oils, it will help abate, obviously perspiring and smell, because that's a big one. And,
Absolutely.
and sweating is a thing that what I do is I just try not to wear things that are tight under my arm if it is warm. I'll layer things and have tank tops, and then don't put deodorants on if you're not out and about. If you feel like, you save those kind of more, I guess, harmful deodorants for when you really need it once an occasion, but make sure you're detoxing and working those lymphatic system to get the toxins out. If you have to
Right.
use something that's a little, I think Arm& and Hammer has a good one that's like no aluminum. A lot of them are doing it, but they're still not 100%.
Hmm.
Okay, so let's see. Was there anything else you want to talk about with as we wrap it up here on cell health that, maybe is a good tip of yours? Anything for skincare? Because I know you love doing beautiful skincare. You haven't really been using the Celergize yet too, because it just came out again. And mine are on the way. I haven't started on them yet. Have you?
I used the sample from the show back in last year, October, and I just ordered when it came out and it hasn't come yet. So I'm excited to try
Yeah, me too.
and, give you guys my feedback once I, get my hands on it. But again, I can't stress enough. I've been waiting for the water machine. It's all going to go with what I've been doing. So from what I heard of it, but
Yeah. I would
yeah,
think you don't either.
all I heard was one glass and it takes 45 minutes to make, but I'm not sure for it to regen, for another glass, if that's, let's say you're treating I have some people interested already and they have a household. And so they asked me that specific question. And I'm like, all I remember is one glass takes 45 minutes. I don't know how long so that you can get someone else in the family another glass or,
I
you
think
know.
from what I remember, you can get quite a few glasses at the
Oh,
beginning.
well,
But then
great,
it takes
great.
some time for it to regenerate. And the thing is,
Yeah.
you're not going to be wanting to, it's only one glass of water. Now,
Yeah.
what's so fascinating about this is we all need, our cells are like, I think of them as like, they look like a raisin if they don't get enough hydration. That's what causes fatigue. That's what causes, actually, when your cells are deteriorating like that and not well and plumped and healthy with all of the proper nutrition, that's where cancer cells take over. And I was in my garden recently, you guys, and I haven't gardened for about 6 months at the level that I normally do, and especially after the winter. And it is quite frightening of the opportunists that are out there in the garden right now in weeds. And I have a couple that are flowering plants that are pretty, but they've completely taken over my entire garden. And I like to explain that that's like the garden when you're outside and you haven't been cleaning it regularly of all those weeds. Your body just keeps getting polluted and polluted and polluted with toxins. And before
Take
you
over.
know it, those beautiful cells, those beautiful plants that you had have been overrun by the weeds. They're opportunists and they spread like wildfire because they are, they get the opportunity and they take over. So that's kind of what's happening in a lot of people's bodies when they have disorders. And it's the best way to explain it. If you're not tending to your garden, you're going to be overrun by bugs, bad bugs, and you're going to be overrun by bad weeds. And so you have to really think of your body, your gut as your beautiful garden. Don't put anything into it that isn't nurturing and supportive.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and it
I
really
like
does.
that illustration too. I'm gonna use that and share it.
Oh, I was
I'm
out
gonna
there.
steal that from you.
No, it's a common one using the garden as an analogy for your gut because our gut is with the good bacteria and the gut bad bacteria. So in closing, one of the things that's interesting, and I do like talking about the water system because Lisa, you and I are excited about it. It's relatable because everybody needs to stay hydrated, so it's a really good selling point. And then the other is that obviously our cells need ample water, and what this is going to be doing is going to be catapulting our cell health to another level, but water is polluted more now than ever. I mean, you can't. Everybody I talk to says, "Do not you drink tap water." Now think about when you go to the restaurants. Are they using filtration when they're bringing their water out to you? Half the time they fill it with ice cubes so that it diffuses the flavor because most of it's pretty tasteless, or excuse me, it doesn't taste good. So really pay attention to the fact that get yourself and others excited about the fact that this water system is not only going to be filtering, but it's going to be adding some pretty amazing things back into it. How many filtration systems add anything back into it, Lisa? Not any.
Not any.
And so this is
You're
where we're going
right.
to, yeah, so it is a great way to bring this to attention to folks. And even those that are listening that may not be familiar with LifeWave or the water system coming out. And you want to, obviously expand and capitalize on the fact that we have these patching system and the supplement support that's so supportive. All righty. Well, I guess we should wrap it up. We're now down or after the half hour. And Lisa, I hope you'll come back and see me. And we'll have some more conversations about all of these products that we're getting an opportunity to try together and at the same time. And so we'll be doing some product reviews about how it's working for us and our clients. And then also Lisa and I will be doing more collaboration. And I have another podcast called Secrets to Radiant Health that is in lieu of the Lifewave podcast. And we over there talk a lot more about wellness and other subjects that we dive deeper on. And we hope you'll follow us over there as well. Put that in the show notes as well as how you can go over there and sign up. We don't have a lot there right now, but we're planning on this next year to just start adding more wellness conversations over there. I have lots of interviews, and Lisa and I want to dive deeper into a lot of different things about wellness that I think all of you would benefit from, especially food as nutrition. And I know Lisa eats well, right, Lisa? She's trying.
I'm trying, but you definitely keep me on track, especially when I went to your house. And I mean, you're like Martha Stewart comes to mind when you go to Suzanne's house.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Down to the table, down to the decor, down to the kitchen counter and how she prepares and cooks. And I think I ate her out of the house. She's like, okay, slow down. It's all so delicious. But just the, I mean, I'm not very I'm not the chef that Suzanne is. And so you inspire me to be a better, want to be a chef because of you. So But yeah, it was amazing. I can't wait to come back. We've been trying to get together, but yeah, thank you for that. And
We
thanks for
will.
having me on.
Yeah, we will. And I love cooking just because I want to
I can
eat
tell.
healthy. I like to eat and I like to eat healthy. And so I will admit my granola, we call it crackola, and my because it's addicting. And then my crackers, I'm doing homemade crackers right now, and they're like crack because I can't stop eating them. So I'm laughing about that. I'm like, are these really healthy for me? And they really are. And so you don't feel like you gain an ounce with it. And I make a homemade pesto that's great. So maybe we'll have to do a cooking demo at some point and get people to get in their kitchens. And it's one of my favorite things to do. Well, Lisa,
You're
thanks
good
again.
at it. Okay.
I love it. Thank you for plugging me on that one, and look forward to seeing everybody. Be sure and go to my. Be sure if you're on watching the recording here that you subscribe. That really helps us get the word out. More people know about LifeWave, the more healthier we all become. And the ultimate goal is a healthy cell, a healthy body means a healthy brain, and it means that we make better decisions and we're a lot nicer people to be around, don't you think? All right, Lisa, thank you so much, and thank you for being here with me today, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, Lisa, see you next time.
Bye-bye.